Carvid time. I thought that we could discuss today a little bit about something that we've talked about before, but in general is really an undervalued process when it comes to feeling better inwardly, to feeling more fulfilled and more at peace with how you feel, and also when it comes to manifesting better things in your external life. And that is basically, letting go of resistance to feelings that bother you. As I mentioned, we've talked about this several times and explored it from different angles. I'll put a link above to, I think, the first podcast episode we did about it, which is a good overview, just talking about both Claire Weeks and David Hawkins, their approach to this letting go process, the process of, letting go of resisting and embracing what's there. This is a hugely helpful practice for many of us. When it comes to changing things in our life, we're going to run into resistance, inevitably. It's just part of the process of living. If you want to change your reality in any significant way, when it comes to like a relationship or your health, your finances, etc., your job, any of the big things that people often want to change, or even often small changes that you want to make, or things you want to see happen. A feeling is going to come up of like, I'm scared, I'm fearful, like an uncomfortable feeling. And this uncomfortable feeling, or these uncomfortable feelings, can arise very often, especially when we're trying to make substantial changes in our lives. Manifest a different reality, as they like to say in these law of assumption, law of attraction circles. Stuff's going to come up. Uncomfortable feelings are going to come up. And that's a good thing. That's why you often hear in self-improvement circles, and also in, in some good law of attraction circles, and in therapeutic therapy, alternative healing modality circles, like lean into the discomfort. Because when you lean into the discomfort, you're then able to change more effectively. That's my theoretical overview, the first 3 minutes of this video. Let's not get quite as theoretical now. So shit comes up and you don't feel good. And there's a charge to it. Like, for instance, for me, when this happens, usually I feel it most in like my chest area. That's not to say I might not feel it in my stomach some, or in my head some, or my throat some, and it's different for different people. But generally speaking, we have one area of our body where this feeling comes up, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling. And basically, we don't want the feeling to be there. We don't want to face it. And what these great different healing modalities, talking about letting go to the resistance of facing it, are all saying is, well, you want to face it. You want to embrace this feeling as opposed to push it away. And what happens usually is we push it away, and we assign all these narratives around it. So, like, for instance, let's say that you're trying to manifest like an SP, right? Manifest love in your life, right? And you're like, I'm going to, meet an ideal partner. I'm going to meet an ideal partner. I'm going to meet an ideal partner. I'm going to meet an ideal partner. You're saying that to yourself. And then something happens. Perhaps you're rejected, or, someone you used to go out with reaches out to you, but is not doesn't act the way you expect them to act, or something like that, that triggers you, brings up this discomfort. And usually what happens is we spiral at that point. We're like, oh, this is awful. Like, this isn't working. Like, I'm trying to bring love into my life, but it's not happening. This is a sign that it's not happening. And we get lost in this spiral, this emotional spiral, this narrative. Now, this narrative is all basically stemming from the uncomfortable feeling. And instead of dealing directly with the narrative of like, oh, I want this thing and I'm not worthy, which keeps us in this push-pull energetic field, right? Basically, where we're like, I want it, but I'm not having it. And you're stuck there, right? That's like your state. You're stuck in that push and pull state. If instead we drop that narrative and just go to that really charged, uncomfortable feeling and face it, disassociating ourselves from the narrative, just face the feeling itself and feel it. Now we're starting to change stuff. We are facing what we don't want to face consciously a lot of the time, which is the uncomfortable feeling. So, in this example, like, I want to be loved, right? And you're saying, like, I want to be in a good relationship, or I am now in a good relationship, or, loving relationship, whatever it may be. And the charge comes and you get knocked off the horse and you're just totally in shambles. You're like, this isn't working. I'm a mess. And there's this whole narrative. Instead of playing into that narrative, you've just faced the feeling directly. You feel that pain of this quote unquote not working. And you realize that it's not the relationship working or not working that's bothering you. It's the feeling. It's the feeling that's bothering you so much. So you face the feeling and you welcome it in, basically. You feel it. You feel the feeling. You feel the discomfort. You feel it. And if you feel it for long enough, a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes a half an hour, but usually no longer than that. If you just feel the feeling and don't pay attention to the thoughts, which are going to seem really crazy and negative perhaps, surrounding the feeling, like, oh, I'm never going to be loved, this isn't working, or whatever it may be, right? If you, instead of paying attention to those thoughts, the thoughts are still there, but you're not dwelling in them, as we've been talking about. You're not paying attention to them. Instead, you're paying attention to the feeling behind them. You will notice, usually within a half an hour, and often much faster than a half an hour, often within a couple minutes, you will notice this uncomfortable feeling shifting, changing, just by feeling it and facing it fully. That is letting go of resisting the feeling, as described by David Hawkins in his book, Letting Go. I really recommend checking out chapter 2 of Letting Go by David Hawkins. That chapter is a very concise explanation of this process. We're trying to avoid the feeling a lot of the time. That's what scares us. For instance, like if you're trying to manifest an SP, what really is scaring you is not manifesting the SP. It's the feeling behind it. See, the feeling, according to David Hawkins, and I agree with what he says here, at least in large part, the feeling engenders thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts. So if you have a charged feeling and you view this feeling as being very negative, you're then allowing it to charge in and create thousands of negative thoughts associated with it. In this case, about your SP scenario. It could be about your health. It could be about other relationships in your life. It could be about finances or your job or whatever. But all these negative narratives are basically being created because of this uncomfortable feeling we don't want to deal with. We can cut all those narratives off, stop taking them seriously by instead dealing directly with the feeling and facing it more openly. Not resisting it being there anymore, but facing it more openly, and then allowing it to naturally shift. It's not going to stay for as long as you expect, in all likelihood. And that's not to say that it's going to shift and you're going to feel better and then it's going to be gone for good. That's usually not how it works. But the point is, when uncomfortable feelings arise, like when I have a lot of tightness and charge in my chest, I don't deal with that tightness and charge in my chest in the terrified way that I used to, or the really, really scared way that I used to, nearly as much. Because I know that it's the feeling expressing itself and not necessarily any external narrative in my life that has to be handled right now. So this is an experiential process and a necessary process, in my opinion, for working with these various, manifesting principles, and just for our well-being and for stress management. Again, all these things tie together. So I hope this was helpful. If you're looking for, direct help from me, I'm currently offering free 15-minute consultations to see if, I can be a help to you, if my coaching, it would be beneficial for you. So I gladly will take you through this process in the short time we have together to help you do that. And if you find it beneficial and you want to keep on working with me or keep on, letting go of resistance in this way, you'll be able to do that. Once you learn this process, and again, Hawkins describes it very, very well in Chapter 2 of Letting Go, and Claire Weeks describes it very well in a lot of her work. Once you learn this process, you can apply it to basically any situation in your life. Because any external situation in your life, it's still the same feelings that we're working with. And so when uncomfortable feelings come up, we don't have to run from them as much as we used to. I can get up in the middle of the night after having like a nightmare, have like my heart pounding and my chest very tight, and be scared for a moment, and then instead of like freaking out about that, feel into it. And it changes my entire relationship with myself. And by changing my relationship with myself in that way, my self-concept's changed and my reality's changed. So it's deep stuff. If you'd like help, if you'd like to schedule a consultation or like coaching, I can be reached at radicalcounselor.com.